Hi everyone, welcome back to Swiss Home Garden. Chitra here. In this video, we will be cooking another simple and wholesome lunch menu. We had one of our friends visiting us, so you'll be seeing him helping me a little bit in the kitchen. This was a Sunday lunch menu. It's not a typical Sunday lunch menu. Usually I cook pizzas or lasagnas or something special for Sunday, but on this day I had some vegetables which I wanted to use up. Let's begin with the recipes. We will be baking eggplants in the oven with a little bit of olive oil, and I will be serving it with wild garlic pesto. I've shared a recipe of wild garlic pesto in this channel and also in my blog. I will leave the link below in the description box. The next dish I will be making is a butternut squash and sweet potato soup, and then a cornbread, and I will serve that with fresh green garden salad. These eggplants are not from our garden. I had to buy it from the supermarket because this was still early spring and there was not yet much growing during the season. The only thing which we could forage was wild garlic, and this is sometime between April and May. I'm not very sure of the date I was filming this. First, cut all the eggplants into thin slices and brush it with a little bit of olive oil and salt and bake it. Eggplants tend to absorb a lot of oil, so that is the reason I'm baking it in the oven, and that way they get quickly browned and nicely baked. We will be baking this eggplant on hot air at 200 degrees centigrade for about 20 minutes, and then it will start to brown, and then we take it from the oven and spread it with a little bit of wild garlic pesto. Usually I don't plan all the dishes which requires an oven, but on this day it just so happened that all the dishes required the oven, so I had to plan it in such a way that it was all working out. Now the eggplants are baked. I didn't want to char it, so we took it out when it is soft, at the same time slightly browned, and serving it with a little bit of wild garlic pesto, and the first dish is done. Next we will tackle the baked pumpkin soup. This butternut squash is from our garden, from the previous year's garden produce, and they do store very well in our cellar if they are stored appropriately. I usually cook the butternut squash up to May if it is still available in my cellar, of course, if you haven't used it all up. So we will be peeling the butternut squash and then cutting it into thin slices, not very thin, just about 2 centimeters thickness. Next we will be brushing this butternut squash with a little bit of olive oil and bake it at 200 degree fan for about 20 to 25 minutes till it has caramelized nicely. To this butternut squash, we will also be adding a couple of sweet potatoes. The sweet potatoes are not from our garden, and 1 or 2 onions together. That also will be brushed with olive oil and baked in the oven. After the pumpkin, sweet potato and the onions have cooked and caramelized in the oven, remove from the oven and then heat a cast iron Dutch oven. Add a little bit of olive oil, a pinch of asafoetida, a couple of cloves of garlic, and then drop in all the cooked pumpkins and the other vegetables. We will be adding a little bit of vegetable stock. We will need around 1 to 2 liters of vegetable stock. I usually buy the vegetable stock powder and add hot water into it. This adds really a nice flavor to the soup instead of just plain water. Mix it into this pot and then mash the soup using an immersion blender. I mash the soup mainly because that way my daughter will get to eat it. If there are pieces of vegetable, she refuses to eat the soup. So this is a nice way to get fussy kids to have soup and healthy stuff. Add the required seasoning. You can add a little bit of black pepper, a pinch of nutmeg and some herbs to it, and then add salt and serve it with fresh cream or a little bit of grated cheese. Next, we will be making corn bread. I have shared the recipe for this corn bread in my blog. I will link it below in the description box. It's actually very easy to make. I also plan to post this video very soon. This is a spicy cornbread. For making this cornbread, you will need 1 cup of polenta, half a cup of plain flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of paprika, a Hungarian or the Spanish variety, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, quarter teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, 1 to 2 tablespoons of fresh green chilies which are cut finely, quarter teaspoon each of thyme, oregano and chive leaves. Mix all this and keep it aside, and then you will need for the liquid 1 cup of buttermilk. The buttermilk I extracted from the butter which I was making at home, and I don't like to waste that buttermilk. I use the extracted buttermilk for making this recipe. Then you will need 3 tablespoons of oil and 3/4 cups of shredded cheese like cheddar or Gruyere. Mix everything together and bake it in a well-oiled pie dish for about 30 minutes. Serve this cornbread with the soup, and this way it doesn't get too dry. Cornbread can tend to be a little bit dry, but you can serve it with a little soup or also with some pesto. Next, we will be making the green salad. Not all the leaves from the salad is from our garden, some of it is from the stores. During the winter month, I avoid making any salad because at that time we are relying very much on the supermarket and other stores, and they are not very tasty during the winter months. Moreover, we should be eating warm and nourishing foods during the winter months, and salad is very cold for the body. Spring and summer is the best time for green salads, and moreover they are grown in my garden and they do taste the best. For this salad, I will be grating a couple of carrots, and I also happen to have a couple of avocados on hand. Usually I am not much into buying all these specialty foods like avocados, but it so happened I had some. And I will be mixing it into this green salad and serving it with homemade salad dressing. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and thank you for watching. If you're new to my channel, kindly subscribe. I post one new video every week on food from scratch, Swiss country living, gardening and natural recipes. See you in my next video. Bye-bye.